Hello everyone, this is James Shore with a recap of episodes 51 through 60 of my test-driven development video series. What you're seeing here is episodes 51 through 60 at 10 times speed, and the application that we're developing is a program to replace a spreadsheet that I use to forecast my personal finances. I need to manage my budget and make sure that I have enough money in retirement. Right now I use a spreadsheet for that, and this application is designed to replace that spreadsheet. The spreadsheet's getting slow, I'm a little concerned about how many bugs it might have. So I'm using test-driven development to write a new program and sharing it with all of you. So here in episode 51, I was working with Roy Oshrove. Actually, I was in Sweden for most of these videos, episodes 51 through about 55. I was in Sweden, and while I was there I got to pair with some folks, Roy Oshrove for a couple of videos and then Kim Grossman. So we had a great time, and actually it was a lot of fun pairing with them, and if you get a chance to watch the videos, the actual videos, not just this recap, I'd recommend it. The first one that we did was, I think, episode 48. What we were working on right here was some UI polish. At this point in the program, we have a basic, sort of a bare bones model. We can project into the future in a fictitious stock market, and we have it showing up on the screen in the table. But now what we're doing is some polish. We're trying to get the table to show up with alternating colors, white and blue alternating colors, and do that in a way that's testable and elegant. So you can see here we've gotten the colors to show up, but they're not alternating yet. And that was what we were going to work on next. Roy and I had sort of an interesting disagreement on the way of approaching tests. Unfortunately, we didn't get much of a chance to explore that in the videos, or really at all while I was there, which is something I regret. But he liked to have just one assertion per test and a very clear description of what each test was talking about, what that one assertion was talking about. Whereas I, on the other hand, preferred a more compact approach with multiple assertions per test. And in my first episode with Kim Grossman, which is starting right about now, we explored that a little bit. We took the test that Roy and I had written, which you can sort of see on the screen now, and we looked at compacting them down into a different style with just one assertion. Oh, I'm sorry, not just one assertion, but multiple assertions, just one test. And then rather than using the test names to explain what was going on, we were using the test descriptions that row 0 should have standard background, you can see on the screen, to explain what was going on. Now at this point, we pretty much thought we had it working, but it turned out we didn't. When we actually selected a row in the application, it didn't show up quite right. So that was what we were going to work on next. And with a bit of tweaking of the colors at the end, that had finished it off. We got it all working. Alternating row colors, nice highlighting, and that was it. I headed home from Sweden and had to do the next episodes working on my own. And what I did with those remaining episodes in this series, 56 through 60, was just more polish. First thing I worked on was getting the title to show up properly on the window and just wrapping things up. In order to get that title to show up properly on the window, I needed to test it. In order to test it, I had to create my own application frame. So that's what you saw me doing there, was a lot of work on creating my own frame. Once I had that going, it gave me the opportunity for taking out a bunch of code that was completely untested, that was in the main routine of the application, and move it into that application frame. I also spent some time trying to figure out how to make the app work really well on the Mac. That turned out to have some implications for the way I was going to bundle the program, which I haven't gotten to yet, so I ended up setting that aside. Next up was taking all the code that I had in that main application, main routine, and put it under test. So that's what you're going to see come up in a moment. This code is fairly ugly, where I was trying to test against what was inside the frame in terms of its components and layout. And to this day, I've now recorded up through episode 65 as I narrate this, and it's still fairly ugly, but it will get better over time. And in fact, that episode title that you're seeing right now, Violating Encapsulation, that sort of expresses my feelings about it. In order to test the layout of the frame, I had to poke inside the frame and see what was in there. And that was violating the encapsulation of the frame and didn't feel quite right. But despite the ugliness, I did get it to work and fully tested, which allowed me to erase all the existing code in the old application class that wasn't tested and was just stub code. And you'll see me get rid of that in just a moment. And then I wrapped up with some more cleanup, making sure that the window would exit on close, for example. That's what you can see right now. And that was it for the cleanup. What I started working on next was getting actual fields, entry fields, so we could have a proper UI, not just a static display, so that the user could type in the initial starting points for the projection, like the starting balance and the interest rate and so forth, and see that change the application in real time. That's what I started on in this episode. This is episode 60, and that's what I'm working on right now in episode 61 through 70. Just started out with a bunch of layout questions, like how am I going to get the fields to actually show up? And that brings us to the end of this recap. At the very end, I put together a little sketch showing what I thought that the application might look like for the first release when it had its UI in. And that's where I closed. So thanks very much for watching. I hope to see you in episode 61. Catch me at jamesshore.com. Thanks very much for watching.